Hello, this is John Paval with Access Arts Live, bringing you all of the updates we can give you on an exciting series of live performances of two Polish operas, which you probably don't know yet, and also interesting chamber music and orchestral pieces coming to you from Warsaw, from Salzburg, from Portland, Oregon, and from down under in New Zealand. So let's get right to this week's information so I have time to bring you up to date on all of it. Okay, starting out right away on, before I say anything else, we have the usual organ recitals, the Methuen Memorial Concert Hall on Wednesday, the Truro Cathedral on Thursday, St. Eustache and the Eli Cathedral on Sunday. Well, those are handled in a separate bulletin now because it's a different approach and probably a different audience than we have for these other things. Okay, but so you can find that on our Facebook page, our LinkedIn page, our page on X, and where else? I think those are the places where you can find that. So, and on Instagram. So look it up on those pages if you're interested in following those organ recitals. They're all on YouTube. They're all free of charge. And all of them except the Eli Cathedral have open comments. And you'll find me as Access Arts Live there. And I'd love to say hi and chat with you. You know, it's a little bit like being able to whisper during a concert, but nobody hears you. Okay, starting out on Tuesday at 8:30 in the evening European time, 2:30 in the afternoon on the East Coast, 11:30 in the morning on the West Coast. The Chopin Institute will be live streaming from the Warsaw Phil Concert Hall, a highly interesting concert put on by the Orchestra, which is an early musical instrument orchestra, which plays on the instruments from the periods of the pieces they play, doing a program of Felix Janusz, Beethoven, and Mozart. The Felix Janusz is a violin concerto, number 5 in E minor. The Beethoven is piano concerto, number 4 in G major. And Mozart is the piano concerto in E flat major, Kerschel number 271, for those of us who are keeping track of the Kerschel numbers. I don't, but some of you do. The violin concerto will be played by Shukan Siranosyan. The Beethoven piano is by Thomas Ritter, and the Mozart by Makoto Ozo. But what's really interesting here is Martina Pastuszka and her Orchestra, which is backing up all of this. She founded this over about a dozen years ago in 2012, and it's dedicated to being an orchestra for early music. And it's taken off. She's worked a lot with the Chopin Institute, with the Polish National Radio Orchestra, but they've also performed at places like Wigmore Hall, the Teatr der Wien, Tchaikovsky Concert Hall in Moscow, the Beirut. They were the resident orchestra at the Beirut Baroque Opera Festival in 2022, and they've been at the Stockholm Early Music Festival. So they've got 9 albums out, and they've been appeared on all the public radio stations in Europe, also on Mezzo, Medici TV, Polish Radio, and Arte TV. Right now, they're about to start recording all of Mozart's symphonies. They plan to spend 6 or 7 years doing it. So this is a concert free of charge, and it's on we give you the link to it. It's on the Chopin Institute's YouTube link. So that's on what day is that on? Let me double check that. That's on Tuesday. That's tomorrow. Okay, then on Wednesday, something completely different from the Old Church Concert Hall in Portland, Oregon, a recital put on by the Ellis Bergman duo. And Ellis and Bergman are an organist, Martin Ellis, and a flautist, Linda Bergman. And they formed this duo back in 2017, and they wanted to find music for the organ and the flute, which is somewhat rare except for some liturgical pieces which were composed for that purpose. So they've been commissioning other composers to create music for them to play, and that's what they're doing in this concert, which is also free of charge on YouTube. Martin Ellis, who's the composer in this duo, He's originally from Indianapolis, spent a number of years training and then teaching there. He went to DePauw University to learn composition. He published choral works with the Hal Leonard Publishing Company and the Cola Voce Music Publishing Company. Now he has his own joint, the Martin Ellis Music. We'll give you the link to his page with the Lawrence Corporation, which is now his main publisher. And they're doing 3 pieces, all new works. One is by Marianne Kim, who's a Chicago area composer. It's called Joshua Fit the Battle. The next is by Brenda Portman, a Cincinnati area composer, called Earth Song. And then they do a new world premiere of a piece by Martin Ellis called Elegy and Dance. So now the timing of that is it's on the West Coast. So it's at noon on the West Coast. It's at 3 in the afternoon on the East Coast. It's 9 in the evening in Europe. So it's watchable in all 3 time zones. All right, we jump ahead from there over Thursday. Thursday, there's a Truro Cathedral live stream. And again, you can find that in the separate listing on our organ recital things. I think it's at probably about 5, 6 in the evening, European time. Okay, we jump to the New Zealand Symphony Down Under on Friday at 6:30 p.m. New Zealand time, which is 8:30 in the morning in Europe, 2:30 in the morning on the East Coast, but it's a nice 11:30 in the evening, Thursday evening, for those of you who are on the West Coast. And this is a concert for which they have brought in 2 heavy hitters from Europe. One is Dima Slobodenjuk, who's a conductor from Finland, and the other is the terrific pianist Augustin Hadalic, who we told you he did earlier this month. I think it was July 13th. He was down in Australia in the Australian Digital Concert Hall, live streamed him doing a concert there. No, actually, the Australian Digital Concert Hall. So, but now they're in New Zealand, and Hadalic, who's done a number of albums, will be playing Tchaikovsky's Violin Concerto. And he's a very hot property right now, so I think you want to hear him. His latest album is called American Road Trip. It's coming out this week, August 23rd, and it's got pieces by Amy Beach and Charles Ive and Aaron Copland, but also contemporary pieces by people like Coleridge Taylor Perkinson, the African-American composer. So he's a good one you want to watch. Now, the other 3 pieces they're doing are one by Nielsen, the Danish composer, called the Helios, or Sun, Overture. Sibelius says the Oceanide, which is about the nymphs of the ocean, and Debussy's La Mer. And the reason you want to have Dima Slobodenjuk conducting Sibelius's Oceanide, which he wrote while he was on an ocean liner to America, is that Slobodenjuk is an expert in Sibelius. He was born in Russia, but when he was 17, he moved to Finland, and he was trained at the Sibelius Institute as a conductor. And then like 15 years later, he's all grown up and becomes the principal conductor of the Lahti Symphony Orchestra, which is the big symphony orchestra in Finland, and the artistic director of the Sibelius Festival. So, he's the perfect person to come and direct that. And I don't think I need to tell you any more about him. You can look him up for yourself. Augustin Hadalic, Hadelig. He's a hot property. So that's worth a listen to. Also, two more live streams on Friday. So then at 5 o'clock in the evening on European time, much easier listening time for you Europeans, 11 in the morning on the East Coast, 8 in the morning on the West Coast, the Chopin Institute is live streaming a piano recital by this pianist prodigy, Szymon Nehring, Szymon, which I'm guessing is the Polish version of Simon or Szymon. He'll be playing a couple of Beethoven sonatas. He'll be playing some pieces by Chopin, a rondo, a mazurkas, a berceuse, and he'll be playing some pieces by Liszt. Who is Szymon Nehring? He's the only Pole to win the Arthur Rubinstein International Piano Competition in Israel, in Tel Aviv in 2017. And he was also a finalist at the Chopin competition in Warsaw when he was only 19 years old, which is a big deal. And he's played with the Warsaw Symphony, the Israeli Symphony. He's done recitals at Carnegie Hall, the Elbphilharmonie in Hamburg, the Musikverein in Vienna. He's done a lot of recordings of Chopin stuff with the Chopin people. So that's worth turning into, and that's free of charge on the Chopin YouTube page. And then also on Sunday, just a little later, from the Salzburg Festival, we get the first of 2 Polish operas on this weekend. Okay, now the first of these 2 Polish operas is Mieczysław Weinberg's The Idiot, based on Dostoevsky's, the only Dostoevsky novel I ever liked, which was called The Idiot. And as I recall, and I hope I haven't got it wrong, it was about a guy who had 2 choices. He could either be completely dissolute or he could be saintly, but he just couldn't be a normal, somewhat corrupt bourgeois in between. So life was very difficult for him. Anyway, Mieczysław Weinberg grew up in Warsaw. He was Jewish, a Polish Jew. 1939, the Nazis invade. He goes to Moscow. He meets Shostakovich. Shostakovich says, stay here. And he becomes Shostakovich's protege and starts, writing. Well, Shostakovich gets condemned by Stalin in 1948. So does Weinberg. And then in 1953, all on his own, just for being a Jew, he gets arrested. But then they let him go. Now, this guy has composed 22 symphonies. Have you heard any of them? 7 operas, 17 string quartets, a violin concerto, additional chamber works. I mean, this guy's incredible. Now, the conductor who's conducting it, this is this Lithuanian conductor who's the champion of Mieczysław Weinberg. She was live streamed on June 1st. We told you about it if you've been following us, conducting the Weinberg's opera, The Passenger, at the Teatro Real in Madrid. She's also conducted his ballet, The Golden Key, and some of his symphonic music. I don't know if she's conducted his massive Symphony Number 21, which is called Kaddish, which it's got to be fantastic. But and she's one of these former Gustavo Dudamel fellows from the LA Phil, and they always seem to have I don't know how they pick them, but they pick the great ones. And they liked her so much, they hired her as an assistant conductor after she did her fellowship back in 2012. And a couple of years later, they hired her as an associate conductor. And then she moved on to be the music director of the Birmingham Symphony Orchestra, following in the footsteps of people like Simon Rattle and Andres Nelson. So she's the real deal, and she's a specialist in Weinberg. So that's what we're turning into. Now that's I think I've already given you the time, but it's if you bought the terrific Stage Plus. This is live streamed by Stage Plus. If you bought their July-August subscription for €1, it's free. You just go watch it. Otherwise, if you didn't, it's €9.90 or $11 US. And then we wind up on Sunday with another Polish opera, which 99 chances out of 100 you haven't heard of either. And this is the Chopin Institute live streaming the Polish National Opera, doing The Haunted Manor by Stanislaw Moniuszko, which was composed back in 1861 to 1864, with the libretto by John Czyczynski, if that means anything to you. I don't know either of them. At this time, Poland was divided between Russian, Prussian, and Austrian overlords, and Warsaw, where it premiered, it was under Russian control. And after 3 performances, the Russians shut it down. Now, it wasn't a very political opera. It's a romantic comedy, but there are a lot of songs about being proud of being Polish and defending the Polish homeland and all that. And so this was like a couple of years after the very bloody uprising in 1862, and the Russians just didn't want anybody even being Polish, Poles had a tough road to hoe. Anyway, The Haunted Manor is an opera in 4 acts. The Haunted Manor, or Haunted Country House, okay? And it's a story of these 2 brothers who are soldiers, officers, and they swear an oath of celibacy so that they will always be ready to take up arms to defend their country and won't be distracted by, being in love with some woman. Then they move to this town, and both of them fall in love with the 2 daughters of this venerable old Polish officer, okay? So now this is a problem, but it gets worse because they have an aunt, and the aunt has already arranged for them to marry 2 other girls. So she doesn't want them going anywhere near the house, and she tries to scare these 2 soldiers away from the house by telling them it's a haunted house, and by trying to make it seem like a haunted house. So it's a comedy. Look, Between Mieczysław Weinberg's The Idiot and Stanislaw Moniuszko's The Haunted Mansion, you have two Polish operas. This second one, The Haunted Mansion, it's free of charge. It's on the Chopin Institute's YouTube stream. So this is on Sunday at 7 o'clock European time, 1 o'clock on the East Coast, 10 in the morning on the West Coast. So it's eminently watchable for both Americans and Europeans. I strongly encourage you to tune into it, or why not both on Friday and Saturday night, see both of these Polish operas that you don't know, for almost a song. Anyway, that sort of completes our roundup for this week. We have, as I said, we have a separate listing for the organ recitals on Wednesday, Thursday, and on Sunday. We encourage you to follow us on Facebook or any of our other pages. And if you like our post, please repost them, resend them to other people. Help us gather together the enormous global audience, which we know is out there, which adores the performing arts, but we don't come together all together globally to watch these performances. During the Olympics, okay, there was a pianist playing in the rain, playing Jeu d'eau by Debussy in the rain on a bridge over the Seine. This was perfect. And tens or hundreds of millions of people saw it, and everybody thought it was great. But do we have to throw an Olympics in order to get millions of people to join together? The millions are out there, but we're not bringing each other together. So we encourage you to help us gather together this minority. All right. Ciao for now. Enjoy these live streams this week. And if you see any of them on YouTube, look in the comment section for Access Arts Live. That's me. And do say hello.